What if I told you that some of the darkest moments in human history are also the most misunderstood? That behind the facts we learn in school lies a web of decisions, betrayals, and secrets that few dare to question. Today, we dive into one of history's greatest tragedies, the Holocaust, but not just the surface story. We explore the hidden layers, the shocking truths, and the mysteries that surround it. Europe, 1930s, a continent still healing from the devastation of the First World War, yet teetering on the edge of chaos. Economies collapsed, millions were desperate, and political extremes rose. But how did a single ideology grow so powerful that it could justify the unthinkable? Some ask, was it just Hitler? Or were there thousands, even millions, quietly complicit? And even stranger, how could ordinary people in ordinary towns be swept into a machinery of mass murder? By 1933, Adolf Hitler rose to power. Promises of revival, of national pride, of answers to problems no one knew how to fix. But here's the question. Why did so many follow him without question? What was in the words he spoke that made fear, hate, and obedience so irresistible? Some historians suggest it wasn't just ideology, it was careful manipulation, propaganda, and the creation of invisible enemies. But what if there was more? Secret deals behind the scenes, funding, networks, political agreements that helped this nightmare take shape? We often focus on Hitler, but history is rarely that simple, and the real story is buried deeper. Once in power, the Nazis didn't start with camps. First came laws, rules, restrictions, signs on doors, jobs lost, lives restricted. Jews were banned from schools, from certain jobs, even from parks and theaters. But why start small? Why the step-by-step dehumanization? It's a chilling pattern, a calculated psychological strategy. Remove identity, remove dignity, make the unimaginable routine, and the world watched, or perhaps chose to ignore. But here's a question few ask. Were these laws only about hatred? Or were they a test, a rehearsal for something much larger, far more sinister? Jews were forced into ghettos, walled-off sections of cities, starving, isolated, monitored. On the surface, it seemed like just a containment strategy. But if you look a little closer, ghettos were more than prisons. They were, in a sense, laboratories. Experiments in control, in obedience, and honestly, in despair. Survival wasn't just about finding food. It became about navigating a world that seemed to delight in stripping every human connection away. And some of the most haunting questions remain. Who decided which ghettos thrived and which were doomed? Why were certain populations moved at precise times, while others mysteriously survived, only to face horrors later? Then came the camps, Auschwitz, Treblinka, Sobibor, names that are forever etched in history and horror. Here the Nazis industrialized death, and yet the chilling truth is that this wasn't chaotic, it was methodical. Gas chambers, mass shootings, starvation, every process was calculated, every detail recorded, every life catalogued. But here's a question we rarely voice. How did technology, logistics, and bureaucracy become tools for genocide? How did architects, engineers, clerks become unwilling participants in a systematic nightmare? History often focuses on the perpetrators and victims. But what about the millions who watched in silence? The neighbors, the officials, the governments, The world itself? Could ordinary citizens see the signs, the arrests, the ghettos, and turn away without feeling the weight of what was happening? Or was it fear, convenience, disbelief? Some researchers argue there were more than just bystanders. There were enablers, people who saw opportunity in chaos, and others who whispered truths quietly and were silenced before the world could hear. By the end of World War II, 6 million Jews had perished. Millions of others, Roma, disabled people, political prisoners, and more, were brutally murdered. Numbers alone are staggering, but they hide stories of courage, survival, betrayal, and complicity. And here's the mystery that still haunts historians. How did so many fail to intervene? How did information fail to spread? And how did perpetrators convince themselves that what they were doing was justified? But there are stories we rarely hear. Jews who survived by hiding in plain sight, rescuers who risked everything to save strangers, villages that vanished entirely, leaving only ruins and whispers behind. Some secrets are buried in personal diaries, in coded letters, in the archives of governments reluctant to speak, and, even now, decades later, we are still uncovering details that change our understanding of the Holocaust, new evidence, new testimonies, forcing us to question the narrative we thought we knew. So why explore the Holocaust with this lens of mystery, of hidden stories and conspiracies? Because, history isn't just a set of facts. It's a warning, a mirror. It asks us, how do societies unravel? How do hate, fear, and indifference combine to create unimaginable evil? And most importantly, what can we do to prevent history from repeating itself? The Holocaust was not just about the past. It is about the present and the choices we make every day. The Holocaust, explained, is more than numbers, more than dates, more than textbooks. It is a story of human nature at its worst and sometimes at its most resilient, a story we must question, remember, and never forget, because in understanding the past, like we hold the key to shaping the future. If this video made you question what you thought you knew, share it, discuss it, and never stop seeking the truth.